Hey, welcome to the From the Shadows Well, no, actually, it's the Midweek Howl. Holy
There
smokes.
you go. See,
Screwed it up.
your week goes so fast
I'm on
that you don't even
autopilot.
know what day it is.
I don't know what day it is. But
You're on
for those
autopilot.
listening,
That's because you're married.
oh gosh, it's the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. Oh my goodness. You know why I'm all discombobulated? It's because the county fair starts tomorrow.
Oh,
And that's all, when that happens, the whole week for us is like on lockdown. Like everything changes. The world turns upside down. I'm basically a bachelor at home for the week. Nobody comes
you
home.
make that sound bad.
Well, I mean, look, I love my family. So, I enjoy their company, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm uh in the minority there. But speaking of my family, something that I said to you beforehand. So I was at my oldest daughter's last week,
That's right.
and it was nice. Couple nights, she and I, we don't get to see each other a lot. We text a bunch, talk on the phone every now and then. But when when I do get to go see her, or she come up here and we have the chance, she and I inevitably are the last people up. She's a night owl like me, talking, and we talk, some family history stuff and whatever. Well, we got on CB radios. Okay.
How did you get on CB radios?
Don't even remember how we
Is
got
she
on.
even old enough to know what one is?
No, not really, but it was hard for her to think that I was alive at a time where basically everybody that did any kind of traveling had a CB radio.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of like a shock to her. And so I described to her, that my grandpa had a CB. Of course,
Oh yeah.
he was fired. So I told her she got a kick out of everybody's handle. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was the big chief because he was fire chief when we were growing up. My dad was Dangerous Dave because, well, he was kind of dangerous. My
Yeah.
mom's Peppermint Patty because her name was and my uncle Bud, his name's Gordon, so they called him Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah. I like it.
Okay.
Also, I feel
And
like I'm doing Top Gun all over again. Redneck
yeah,
Top Gun.
Redneck Taco. There you go. And so we kind of got on it because of I told her about a trip that I took with my grandparents like in 78, 79, and why people really, if you weren't a trucker, why did you have a CB radio? And a lot of people from what I remember, they listened to the CB so that you could tell when there was a smoky
Mhm.
out there,
Oh
or
yeah.
if there was an accident or something like that. There's, the truckers were talking and you could
Yeah,
glean a
absolutely. They
lot.
still do. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But I told her about the most ironic thing is my grandpa was a big railroad guy. In the 50s, he worked on the railroad. His dad, his grandpa, they
Union
all,
Pacific or who?
I don't even know who, it would have been here in
I mean,
Ohio. So I don't know
yeah,
what.
okay.
So, but he said there came a point where he had to choose, go to the fire department or stay on the railroad. And he said that he made the right choice because the railroad got killed by semi trucks. Okay. That was his theory, is that the advent of semis and over the road trucking killed the rail industry.
Okay.
And my daughter starts chuckling, and because she sees where this is going, and I said, well, one time I was on this long distance trip, and we were in Florida somewhere, and we had been backed up by traffic, and we got up there. My grandpa saw that the semi truck was in an accident. He was so gleeful that he picks up the CB and he's like, and he just is kind of like digging in, like, it's about time you guys got a taste of you're always causing
Oh
accidents.
yeah, I got some stories. Yes, go ahead.
And my grandma was so embarrassed. Like nobody knew
Who
he
you
was
were?
who we were. Nobody knew it was him talking, and she's smacking him on the arm, like, "You shut up now. You stop. Like, you stop that." And not because it was bad karma, because I'm in the back seat going, "Oh man, Grandpa, that's bad karma," in my mind. But she was embarrassed because she thought everybody knew that it was Grandpa in this nondescript, baby blue Lincoln Continental, cracking on the.
That's what he had CB in Lincoln Continental.
Oh yeah, my grandpa went all out. Oh yeah. God no. So I think we might have got on that just because I don't know. Maybe my wife sometimes gets embarrassed by some things when nobody's really going to know. You know what I'm saying?
But you don't have a CB in the Suburban, do you?
No. But it's not just the CB and the anything like, oh my gosh, we can't do that. People will, like, who's going to know?
It's the thought police. Yeah, you say something that's just you two in the middle of Kansas, and they act like you're syndicated broadcaster. It's like, no, they don't know who I am. They don't know who I am.
Yeah, we're not doing this. We're not recording this for the Midweek Howl. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even if you are, you think those people care?
No.
Yeah, I tell you, I remember we couldn't leave on trips before my old man got the CB hooked up. Like, we got a new. Well, my mom had. It was a year or two old, 79 Country Squire wagon. Might have been 80, but for some reason I think it's a 79.
Have wood any wood on the side?
Oh yeah, white with wood panel, wood grain, maroon on the interior.
Wow!
It was the first car we had with cruise control, and it had a factory CB that all the controls were in the grip. Does that make sense? It had like a Motorola digital. Yeah, so it had a digital up and down arrows, that you could turn your volume up or your gain or your channel. I think the gain was a roller on the side. It had a channel up, a volume up, and then, of course, you had your push button to speak. Mm-hmm.
That was a factory option?
Yeah, it was an option. Well, I'll do you one better than that. And there was a guy in my hometown who died a few years ago. Joe, I almost said his last name. He had a 69 or 70 Super Sport Chevelle he saved up all his money in Vietnam. And it was gold with black stripes. I remember sitting in that car, the driver's seat of that car, when I was a cop in the early 90s, and it had 30,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
And he was so proud of it and had every single factory option to include the 8-track and the factory CB. That was going back in the 60s. But yeah, you'd put that on there because you needed to call for help, or if you had to, and that was the theory because there was no cell phones. When I first got on the highway patrol, we had them in our cars, and I don't remember what channel you were supposed to leave it on, just in case there's one channel's for help, and I don't remember which channel it was because it's been so long. 11 maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember what channel 19 is the trap.
Yeah, that's what everybody and you know what's funny is we had me and my FTO, he is a 17-year guy. So he's an old guy, and he had what's called a California package. So it had the stickers on the side, but it didn't have a light bar. It just had like a Kojak light in the front windshield and then two of them on the back deck. And I remember looking down there, me and him come out of Kingdom City, Missouri. If you know where Kingdom City is, it's a junction of US 54 and Interstate 70. And I said something about the CB, and he goes, oh, my God. He said, I never turn that on. I hate truckers. Most troopers hate truckers or whatever. And I said, oh, man, that's no way to be. And he goes, don't tell me you're going to talk on that. And I said, oh, my grandpa was a truck driver. I come from a long line of truckers. I said, watch this. So I put it on channel 19. I said, channel 19. I said, breaker 19, come back. And they said, come back, breaker. And I said, I'm southbound on 54. How's them Smokies look? And they go, we're northbound from the interstate. We don't see nothing. And they said, how's it from you? And I said, well, I just come through Vandalia. I just got to Mexico. And I said, 54 is clean. I just came through. And I pulled that Crown Vic down in the median and turned the lights off. And I was just sitting there. And dude, he's cracking up because he can see what's going on. Dude says he's rolling northbound. And within 5, 6, 7 minutes, here comes this 18-wheeler speeding. And as I'm turning on my headlights down in the grass, he blows up the CB. He goes, oh, man, there's one down here. She's one down here. I just blew by him. He's in a plain green wrapper. And I pulled out. Of course, I didn't respond, right? And I pulled him over. And before I got out of the car, I shut it off. And I brought him back to the car, get his logbook and all this stuff, and I'm talking to him. And my FTO's in the back seat, dude. He's just dying, because I brought the dude back. I sit him in the front seat of the car. Where I'm from, troopers don't have cages, right? So when you bring people to jail, you sit them in the front seat beside you. Or if you're talking to somebody, you sit them in the front seat. So I was in the front seat talking to him. And as I'm talking to him and I'm running him, this car had bucket seats and had like a console in the middle. a radio rack that had like 3 different radios or 4 different radios. I don't remember how many. You know, it had our big state police radio, and then it had like a mutual aid radio, and then it had a scanner that listened to the fire department. And then at the very bottom of the rack was this CB. And he sees that CB and he goes, "You guys got CBs in these cars?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't never turn it on." And he said, "Oh." So I do what we did what's called truck check. So you had to do this DOT form. You had to do 2 a month. It was the only thing they really looked for. You had to, NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, gives out all these block grants, all this money if you stop X amount of big trucks. So in order to get their X amount, they would force every trooper to stop at least 2 18-wheelers a month, right? So, and there's some forms. I know this is kind of inside baseball or whatever, but there was forms you had to fill out. So I filled out this entire truck check form, and I just let the guy go. And he was speeding, and I don't remember. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough that some guys would have given him a ticket. But I didn't want to do that because I entrapped him, right? So as I give him his license back, he says, "Thanks, man. Thanks for giving me." But I don't remember. As he says thanks, as he's stepping out of the car, I said, "It's all clean southbound from Vandalia." And he knew, man. He knew.
Oh man, he probably. Gosh, did you get back? Did you turn it on and see if he got on there and told anybody anything?
No, I didn't. But I tell you another CB story. Talking about the one you're made me think about it when you said your grandpa had badmouth truckers. They called me down there. I signed on one day. They said go down to 70 and help. They had the interstate was blocked, and they were trying to open it up to one lane to get the westbound traffic going. You know, I mean, 70 goes through Ohio. You shut down the interstate, you got an issue. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And right there at the same intersection, I was telling you, 54 and 70, it was 2 18-wheelers. One of them hit the other one. Okay. One of them rear-ended the other one. I don't know why this guy was slowing down, but a big conventional tractor rear-ended another tractor trailer in front of him. And of course, it caused the first one to jackknife. It was just a mess, right? It was just an absolute mess. And the reason why I was coming out, the traffic was backed up. They had one lane open to where everybody could get like 2 wheels on the median side and 2 wheels in that lane of traffic, you know, which would be the number 1 lane. I guess it goes to the median end. But you understand what I'm saying? To get through all this mess, but the backup was getting so far behind that we kept just having more troopers had to come and just back up even further. You figure out what I'm saying here? Yeah. So all I had to do was drive down there to the end of this thing, turn around, get on the shoulder with my arrow stick going to the left, and all my lights on, and just sit there, right? So I'm sitting there, and it's hot. It's like weather like it is this week, right? It's just hotter than hell. And I had my CB on, and these truck drivers just start bad-mouthing four-wheelers. That's what they call the cars, right? The four-wheelers, and then the dumbass cops that don't get on them. And, you know, it was just every other word was dumbass cops and effing troopers and little cars, and people need to stay away from professional drivers. So I just got tired of it. I picked up that mic and I said, well, you know, if you professional drivers had spend more time driving than talking on the box, maybe we wouldn't be sitting here.
Because they had no idea. It was 2 semis.
Right. And this guy goes, well, how about I get out of this truck, get off this radio and kick your ass? And I said, come back? And he goes, well, how about you just tell me where you're at, buddy, and I'll kick your ass or something. You got it against truckers, or I don't. He gets pretty belligerent with me on this radio.
Okay.
And I said, I'm in the westbound lane on the right-hand shoulder in a silver Crown Victoria with my lights on. I'll be the guy in the road with my hat on. And it was broad daylight. And I took my flashlight out of my holder because we were trained with straight baton tactics. You know what I'm talking about? And you could use your flashlight. And I jumped out there. I put my hat on. I jumped out there, and I had my window down, had my radios on. And I stood out there with my flashlight like a short freaking baseball bat and just glared at every one of them truck drivers. You know what I mean? So, of course, then the CB really blew up. And they go, oh, my God. I forgot what this guy's handle is. You know, they said, you better not get out of the truck. Roger, he looks mean. And somebody else said, and this guy come back and said, no, I'll do this or I'll do that. And somebody else goes, he's big as a fucking bear, boy. You better keep driving. You better. And dude, they were just screaming. It was 35 minutes of pandemonium there. I should have wrote a song what was that truck driver song, the CB radio that
C.W. McCall.
Yeah, what was his song about the little crippled boy who lost his dad in a snowstorm?
That was Red. Wasn't that Red?
Yeah, Red Sovine. Yeah, you know that Red Sovine song? What was it called?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I should have made one kind of like an Uneasy Rider. I should have made a off color Red Sovine song.
About the trucker with the big mouth.
Yeah, and of course, you know, when the guy said how little he was or something, I was figuring it figures, you know.
Can't even.
Oh my God! You know, some of these truck drivers, you'd go up there and get your cab card and ask them to step out, and they're like, you know, I don't want to badmouth some of these country singers, but you know, they're like 5'6", big ass hat and belt buckle. It's like, dude, come on.
They have to sit on a J.C. Penney catalog to see over the screen.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know, man. Come on, you break. You know, speaking of that, there was an article the other day. I don't remember who I was watching on TV a while ago, earlier this week, and I said they're only 5'1" or something. And my wife said, "Oh, no way." And I said, "No." And it was one of these. It was famous woman. I said, "No, I read a whole article the other day. It was all the famous people. It was all these girls. You know, like the tennis girls are only Serena Williams and her sister are only like 5'3". Did you know that?
Are you serious?
I thought they were gigantic. And then
no way.
Hold on, let me look it up.
I was going to say she's a very tall, athletic.
Oh, sorry, 5'9".
I was going to say she's got to be big.
Hold on a second. I'm going to try to look up the article right here.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. Or of course, it says the average man's only 5'9".
Really? But that's bigger than it was 100 years ago, right? I mean, 100 years ago, it's like 5'6" or something.
It wants to give me 150 people alphabetical. Lil Wayne, well, obviously. I mean, who would have thought that, right?
Oh, it wasn't.
I want to see their height here.
It's not an ironic. It's not an ironic nickname for Lil Wayne.
Yeah. I knew Mel Brooks was. Billy Joel is short. Corey Feldman is short. David Spade is short. Who I wouldn't knew that. Richard Dreyfuss is short.
Yeah, all those guys.
James Brown is little.
Who?
James Brown.
Really? Huh.
That's what it says. Mick Jagger's little. All kinds, and I think that's what it started at. It was all the singers. You know, like the Van Halen brothers are little.
Well,
Mick Jagger's little.
I've been up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and this is a long time ago, when Mick Jagger's, like, one of his stage costumes was up there when he wore like football pants or something crazy and they were so small. Like, I don't even know that there was any time during my childhood when I played backyard football, like in third grade, with my fake Cowboys helmet on, that I could have put those pants on. I mean, they were tiny. And I'm like, this guy, you know, not that you can't be small and, you know, do some stuff, but it's like.
Now, you think that's why he's in still great shape?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, look at it, man. Most of the people I know that were much smaller than me, and I'm sure you have the same thing, is they're still pretty good shape. I mean, when you're bigger, stuff starts adding up quicker.
And I had a friend of mine, that little guy, and he said, "Well, it's just like dogs. You know, Jack Russell lived twice as long as a
great name."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, he brought me down. I was like, oh, you're bringing me down.
Now, speaking of that, though, we stopped at a place on 77 coming back from South Carolina in Princeton, West Virginia. It was called Dolly's Diner. So I'm telling everybody on the eastern side of the United States, if you're traveling on 77, north or south through West Virginia, stop at Dolly's Diner. This place was old school diner. The people were super friendly, and they talked me into getting a deep fried Philly cheesesteak.
They make the sandwich and deep fry the whole thing?
No, they just deep fried the bun or whatever. They deep fried the bun. And it was like she's describing it to me, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. It was the best. Now, anybody in Philadelphia is going to argue, best Philly cheesesteak I've ever had. It was unbelievable. Christy got deep fried hot dogs, and they were great. Then we finished off with coconut cream pie. It's fantastic. So as a public service announcement, if you're traveling down 77 through West Virginia, stop at Dolly's Diner. This is not a paid endorsement. I'm just telling you, the food was so good. I don't know if anybody else has been there that's listening, but it was fantastic. So
what's the best part of your trip?
The best part of my trip was just hanging out with my granddaughters and my daughter, my daughter and son. I mean, my son-in-law is a great dude. My obviously my daughter's, great. And we got to take them one day. So one of my best friends left the head coaching job at USC Upstate and took the head baseball job at Winthrop. And Winthrop is in Rock Hill where my daughter lives. So he's only been on the job like 3 weeks. So we went to see him. And my granddaughters, we went to his office and, he's unpacking, like he's getting the whole stadium, everything's getting a makeover. It's a really nice stadium for a Division I baseball. But he was an assistant coach there until 2011, and nothing has been updated since 2011, he said. So he's getting everything painted or whatever. My granddaughter's getting his office. And he's got these autographed baseballs on his desk, and they start picking them up. They're 4 and 6.
Autographed by who?
Well, 3 of them look like team signed baseballs. And as my one daughter goes to grab the other one, I noticed it's signed by Pete Rose. I snatched it out of her hand, and I'm like, let's not play with that one, And he was good about it. He's got a young daughter, even though he's my age. He's got a daughter that's 9. And so she's in the ballpark all the time. But every room we went into, he took us to the weight room, and my 4-year-old's granddaughter's trying to pick up a kettle weight. We go into the locker room, we turn around, and she's in somebody's locker and got a wooden bat out trying to swing it. We go into the
sounds like she's whipping.
Oh my gosh, we go into the training room. She goes right over to like the Thames machine, the thing you put on there and get electric shock. And she's doing
those really work.
Christy has one for her back, and it's supposed to.
That's a HIPAA violation. You're not supposed to tell me she's got one.
No, the doctor that she goes to see to use it on her is not supposed to tell you she's got one. I can tell you she's got one only one.
There you go, man that understands his rules.
So it was fun to get in there. But the big news. So here's the big news, and I sent you the link. You probably looked at it and didn't pay attention. When this comes out, we got 2 days until our big single or duet by Whey Jennings.
I did see that. Fast horses, girl on a fast horse, girl on a fast pony.
Girl on a fast horse. I'm a co-writer on it. It's the record company's thinking it's going to be really big. It's got a ton.
They tell everybody that.
No, they do not tell everybody. but the album comes out in August, and it for the whole summer so far has been in the top 20 of pre-bought albums.
I was trying to figure out how you wrote this because you don't know nothing about horses and nothing about girls. How do you?
All I know about is what are you talking about? I know
about girls or horses.
Well, I guess it's questionable whether I know anybody.
Well, I guess you're right. You got. Never mind. I was going to say something terrible. I wasn't going to. My buddy Ed, he heard our last thing and he sent me a text. He was happy that he said, oh, he's finally getting together, making it up with his daughters or whatever.
Oh, no.
I had to say, no, dude, it's the other daughters. I said, this guy, you think you were a stud in high school? This guy's got kids with 3 different women. You don't know nothing about women.
Who, Ed has kids?
No, you.
I don't have kids with 3. No, I don't.
With 2. And then you got the new wife is a 3rd, dude. There you go. See? So, boom. That's how it happens. You don't even know, and then it happens. See?
But anyway.
Uh-huh.
But anyway.
See, you do know a lot about them.
We know we need all our fans to go out in the last couple of days here, pre-save that to wherever you listen. Yeah, download. Hey, look, if you're on iTunes and you buy the single, that's even better. I mean, we could legitimately come out with a top 5 song on Friday. I mean, which really doesn't, it's just cool. It's just cool. I can say but yeah, this is kind of a big deal. So, and I know I do get a lot of messages from our fans that do enjoy following the music stuff. So I appreciate all the love they give, so hopefully it'll be a big deal. Hopefully next episode, and I've got a couple episodes lined up for me and you to do some interviews.
For who we
by the way, I haven't told you. So, well, we kind of talked about it. I think we're gonna have Chris Hahn on, our buddy Chris Hahn, and we're gonna dive into the world of professional wrestling.
Right.
And so he's going to come on. He's going to tell some stories. And I thought maybe you could break out the Harley Race story again. I don't think you've told that one
Oh, yeah.
for a while.
He'll at least know who Harley Race is.
Yes, he will. And then I interviewed a guy for this week's paranormal one who's an author, but he spent 10 years as a true crime investigative reporter, I think is what he did.
Okay.
And I said, hey, up in Canada. And I said, hey, I asked him, I said, you want to come on with me and the Howler? I explained it. And I said, I'll bet you got some good stories. He goes, I do have some good stories. And he goes, I don't ever get to tell them because.
Why didn't you get to tell him?
Because he wrote a book about the about a sea monster, the Okapogo is the Canadian version of the Loch Ness monster.
And you got to quit telling your stories whenever you write a book about. I don't understand why he had.
Well, nobody asked him about him because they're asking him about the sea monster.
Oh, okay, I see your point. Yeah,
see what I'm saying? So he was pretty excited. So we're going to talk to him in a couple weeks. It'll come out and maybe have some cool true crime stuff.
Well, I got one of my super fans, Dr. Yo-Yo. He retired, so I think we're going to sit down with him at some point and talk. He's a squatcher. He's a Bigfoot hunter. He lives down here in the country. And
really?
If anybody would have seen it, I shouldn't have said doctor, so now y'all think ill of him. But if anybody would have seen Bigfoot by now, it would have been him.
And he hasn't seen it?
I don't know. I think he's looking all the time. I know Bigfoot, he's got a daughter with big feet, so that's sort of, I guess, but I shouldn't say that on the air.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. She's going to hear it. No, I told her I was going to give her a shout. I had 2 or 3 shout outs I was going to give last week, and I didn't get any of them in because I said if people don't realize it, I don't know when you're going to shut it off, do I?
No, you have no idea.
I have no clue. So when I say something,
in fact, we had somebody complain.
Huh?
Yeah, we had somebody complain. That was one of the complaints. Was that first of all they didn't understand. They came to listen to the paranormal, didn't understand that this part isn't really paranormal, and then they didn't understand why the interviews just just got shut off in the middle of.
Did you say you wait until I say where I'm about to go off the cliff, or if I say the wrong thing, it just boom.
I prefer to just say, look, when you hit a high note, I think it's like you just leave on a high note, right? You leave on wanting more. That's what you want, right?
That's what they say. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about entertainment, but that's what they say.
I mean, I've never left anybody wanting more. I mean, I've left smorgasbords wanting more, but I've never left anybody else wanting more.
I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I was going to shout out to her the other day, Elizabeth, and I didn't, and it was too late. I don't remember what I was going to say back then. I had something nice to say, and I then forgot because I'm overloaded right now. My son bought his first car the other day, so my youngest. So now all my kids have a car, so now it's got another kid to worry about. So
he bought his own first car?
Yeah, he saved up enough money to almost get it. I had loaned him $200. But what's that?
Is it better than a 75 Pacer?
It is a 79 Z28 Camaro with a big old 350 engine in it, with a cam. It's all cammed up, and he goes that he washes it with a wash mitt. He hand washed it at least twice a day the first 3 days. I don't think he's washed it today because we went to church. He's washed it by hand and started it up 25 times a day. My wife said, "Do you think he's going to start that car up today?" And I said, "I don't know. It was a joke." And a little bit later, we hear it starting in the driveway.
So, does it look a little Smokey and the Bandit-ish?
Yeah, sort of with black and white racing stripes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what though, for a kid that loves Jack Tatum, I wouldn't expect anything else.
And you know what's funny? Yeah, it's black and white Raiders colors, and anyway.
I love it. I can't. How long do you think you've wrecked before he wrecks it?
It's going to be a little bit because he's just got his permit and he doesn't have a full license, and it's got terrible tires. We're going to work on a little bit. A friend of mine, we bought it from a buddy of mine. You know, so I'm going to send you this picture here in a second if I can get it to go. So I'm looking on my phone.
It's okay. I'll put it up on the Patreon page.
And the kids, it's got my daughter and son and one of his buddies on the right, a guy I went to school with his parents. anyway, my buddy had it done about 8 years ago, actually, restored, and it just really basically been sitting in his driveway. And me and my son was over there at turkey season, and my son loved the car, and he said, "Man, I'll make you a deal on that car. Just come get it," because he said it's just kind of wasting away. So the tires are dry rotted real bad on it. See, that back one keeps going flat. That back right one. Don't tell me. And I told him, I said, if when I was a cop, you'd be pulled over. He said, for what? And I said, just for driving a car like that.
This is a sweet. I mean, that's a sweet. What's it like on the inside?
Kind of trashy, but we're working on it.
Listen,
the sun ate up a lot of stuff. It's got a new carpet in it. We're going to pick up some new seats on Tuesday to put in it, and you know,
tell them I'm jealous. I mean, that's going to be a nice ride.
But originally, it was a blue car. It was a dark blue car, and my ghetto buddy had it painted black because he thought that's what it, What?
Any chance to take it back to the original?
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about, because this door panels, there's a few things that need to be replaced on the inside. I told my son, why we got the panels off, we ought to just replace it all with blue. When you take the door panels off, you can see the blue behind it. You know what I mean? When you move the seats, you can see the blue, because they didn't do a great job with the paint. And I told him, I said, we ought to just take it back blue. And he said, but I got black interior. And I said, it's just when you get your new seat covers, we just get blue ones instead of black ones, right? When you get your new, my brother, as you know, has restored a lot of stuff. So my brother was kind of hand walking us through the process and from the inside out, right? And then when you get done with it, then you have the whole thing scuffed down and painted back blue like it's supposed to. So, but
I'm excited to see.
It's like everything time. And I wish it was a 4-speed car. I wish it was a 4-speed T-top car.
Oh yeah, that would be Mm-hmm. Yep. I saw one of those. We had our big car show, I don't know, beginning of June, and I saw one of those in town. Looked like, Smokey and the Bandit one, and I'm just like, man, I'd love to have one of those. And I thought I wasn't cool enough to have one back when I was a teenager. Why would I think I'd be cool enough to have one now?
I'll tell you, there was one, remember, Forrest Whitaker had one in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, remember?
Oh, the one they trashed, and Spicoli
Yes,
goes,
Spicoli says, my dad's a television repairman. He's got the ultimate set of tools.
He can fix it, man.
He can fix anything, right?
And instead they just...
Yes. Uh-huh. These kids, my son and the other boy, they're big Dazed and Confused fans, but I haven't told them about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. They just don't even know such a movie even exists.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of the 80s, for some reason, I've watched a lot of movies on Pluto. I don't know if you do, but Pluto, if you stream. And they have an 80s channel. And I watched one the other night. I got into half of it, and I actually had to go back to Pluto Demand and watch old King of New York. And I'm telling you, it's got Christopher Walken in it. I can't even, you just go watch King of New York. And it's 80s to the max. It's about 1984, 85. It's got some of the dumbest street rap. I wanted to call my kids up there just to let them hear what the 80s, just the parachute pants and just the 80s, you know what I mean? A taste of the 80s, Michael Mann style movies, man. It was great.
Speaking of, what I watched, speaking of 80s, I watched the new Beverly Hills Cop that just came out on Netflix.
Yeah, was it any good?
It was actually one of the best, like one of those movies I've ever seen, except that John Astor, the guy who plays Taggart,
one of the white cops.
Yeah, the bald hair, not Judge, not Judge Reinhold, but the other
who plays Eddie's part? Who plays Eddie's part?
What do you mean?
Eddie Murphy ain't in it, is he?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's got to be 60 years old.
Yeah, he's in it. Paul Reiser's in it.
Okay.
Bronson, like everybody from the original one is in it except for the girl, and except for of course. So the
I'm seeing who's in it right now. Yep.
The boss from Detroit is not in it. He's dead. Which he was actually the Detroit police commissioner when Detroit was really a criminal. When the Detroit government and police was really a criminal enterprise. And then Bogomil, right? He was the captain in the first one. He's not in it. And then the girl. But Eddie Murphy's daughter is one of the cops that arrests him.
Oh, there you go.
This is actually really, really good. Except Asher, that the guy who plays Taggart, looks so old. I mean, of course he is old. He's like 83. But he was just that was the only stretch. What's that?
Nothing. I was about to run the ditch. I decided not to. I was going to start talking about other famous 80-year-olds, but I decided I wouldn't. No.
Okay.
It's been a bad week for the elderly politicians on both sides. So,
thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only knows what's hiding in